Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry, and in this video I'm taking a 7-hour bus ride all around the Amarna area to see many different things. And we're going to go to one temple that has been almost totally destroyed, but not by the enemies of the Egyptians, but by the Egyptians themselves. And then also going to see the remains of a royal palace, and then a lot of tombs along the side of the hills mostly, and end up here at the Amarna Visitor Center. So come along with me and I'll show you what it looks like, the archaeological sites around Amarna. Well folks, there's not much to see here. Very little remains. I think they brought us here just to show us how a temple can be almost entirely destroyed if people really want to. And they did. So now moving on to the next place. Now this is kind of interesting. This is a photo of a model of the temple of Amarna, and this is a more detail, but this is what's left of it. Very, very little is left these days. There's 2 columns out there, one fairly tall column, you can judge it by that man's size, and then a smaller one here. But other than that, all you see is just the base around it. And the guide said that troops were sent here, but they were sent here for the specific purpose of tearing down this temple. And they tore it down to very, very little. So I thought it was King Seti who ordered the tearing down of this temple. So it wasn't enemies, it was the king himself. And all of these pieces were hauled away, most likely to Luxor, to use in building temples there. Because each king wanted to build his own temple as his legacy. And that's how King Seti did it. This shows a typical construction of this rock. And right here is a layer of wood that goes all the way. And then these are wood planks here. That's how they constructed the temple. They always interlaced the rock around the base and higher up sometimes with a layer of wood. I forget what the guide said the purpose of that was, but that's how they built most of these temples back then. You can see the outline of a couple rings here. We'll get you a close-up of these 2 columns. There you go. And this is about the only wall carving that's left. So get a good look at it. Well folks, there's not much to see here. Very little remains. I think they brought us here just to show us how a temple can be almost entirely destroyed if people really want to. So now moving on to the next place.
In Amarna, there is a record of
cemetery.
1700 or 1800 offering tables in front of the temple. 1800 offering tables, and you can see some of them.
An ancient cemetery in Amarna.
Of the palace, some of the offering tables are there. Yes, 1800 of them.
This is the remains of the palace of the king that was built just about a mile from the temple that I just showed you that was all torn down. And right across where you see all that greenery, right across those trees is the Nile. So the king wanted his palace to be right on the Nile. And the guide said there actually is 2 swimming pools over there. You can't see them from here, and they've got this barbed wire so we can't get in to walk around to it. But he told us that there, somewhere out there among the trees, there's 2 swimming pools.
Visiting Dusa, do not need tickets yet. And when it's 9, we will be at the first site of Tuna el-Gebel. And after visiting Tuna el-Gebel, we'll come back to see the tombs of Amarna here, the royal tomb as well as the tombs of the noblemen. Then we will be very close to the Dara Railway. So at the moment we are crossing the river, we will be crossing the river to the west bank of the Nile. We'll drive for like 30 minutes, 35 minutes to a site we call Ashmonehin. This is one of the most important spots of ancient Egypt. On the right, that's where they said the codes. The el-Gebel and the el-Gebel.
Look at all this trash. Egypt is horrible about littering. Worst place I've ever seen in my life. They just throw their garbage anywhere. Look at that. And this is all a still water ditch. So this garbage in the water isn't going anywhere. Have all this cattle right in town. And women are washing their dishes in the water here. Well, folks, guess what this is a statue of? It's a baboon. And here's another one that got chopped down a bit. Statues of baboons. I don't know why. This is the part of town where the baboon statues are.
Even the cemetery, there are some structures unfinished.
It's another cemetery. These are tombs. Cemetery tombs.
They were marking the borders of the city of Amarna construction. Tuna el-Gebel. El-Gebel in Arabic means the mountain.
That's a tomb alongside the mountain there.
Tuna el-Gebel.
And this is where the Sahara Desert starts. On the west bank of the Nile.
We have come to Tuna el-Gebel. This is like the middle of nowhere. By the edge of the mountain there, here was the cemetery, a vast cemetery for the god Thoth, the ibis face or the baboon face god. The one was based in Ashmonehin, the center of cult was there. But they had a cemetery here, and it was quite common in ancient Egypt to have a cemetery for their deity.
Going down into the catacombs. Here's a deeper part of the catacombs.
Just have in mind your head, please.
There's the baboon.
Was mummified. The god thought I mentioned about his name so many times, and I mentioned one of the jobs he has carried out or done during the time where the god Ra was trying to get his daughter, the goddess Hathor, you remember? A very large catacombs. Well, they are divided into streets. Yes, when the archaeologists started to work in there, they started calling them streets. And we believe that some of them are going very long. We believe some of the streets here would go all the way to Ashmonean. That's over 11 kilometers away from here. Some of these streets would go to Ashmonean, like the one.
Yeah, they didn't before this before.
That's a net over the top of it here, or a metal screen.
These are the doors. I was talking about them. Yes, massive board here.
Look at all these little compartments.
See the bars of the doors there, and there on the right down there.
Some little, some big. There's the little ones. Here's a big one. Ooh, that's a really big one. This is as far back as we're going to go in the catacomb. There's even trash here in the catacombs. Amazing. Well, going out now. That's the entrance to the catacombs there I was just in. This is what it looks like around here. Not much to see. But there is some more tombs over here. You get a kind of a close-up scan of those tombs. They got a tiled sidewalk here, so you don't have to walk in all this sand. Getting up to the catacombs, it was some pretty loose sand. Well, I have walked all the way up to that tomb I was just showing you, and there's this sign.
The tomb of Osiris. Osiris was a high priest at the temple of the god Thoth there in Ashmonean. He was a Greek high priest. 150 BC when this man was the high priest over there. So during the Ptolemaic period, anyway, I was saying this morning that even the Ptolemaic and the Roman, they built things there, temples for the god Thoth. The man here was the high priest. Well, came next to the god Thoth, the cemetery here, and he built his tomb. This is a unique tomb. I'm not going to see any other tomb like this one because it's a mix of temple and a tomb. Yes, the man spent his life serving in the temple of the god Thoth. So the influence of the temple you see here on building his tomb. The columns. We didn't see any tomb with columns before. Now we're going to see that here because he was the high priest of the temple.
There's still a little color on these two columns.
Well, there's, as you know that I'm a Cairo boy, but my mother comes from Indonesia, from this place. So yes, summer holidays we used to come and spend like 3 weeks, 4 weeks here, and as well as the mid-year holiday. These are like 3 weeks in January. So when one of those mid-year holidays I was here, then well, my cousins were like on a school trip to the place here. Would you like to join us? I said, yes, why not? I joined them. They came to the place here, and I had my photograph taken in front of this tomb, and that was the very first link ever in the Egyptology. It is this tomb. I love it.
This is two cattle mating, and then down the line here, this is giving birth. Screaming that, giving birth. And then here is a man carrying a little calf.
God's and depicted on the walls of his tomb here. I'm talking about the scene. That meant to be the goddess Isis. Okay? The two wings of Isis, we got used to see them, but this is a quite strange face for a goddess. She's not Isis, she's one of the Greek gods. The scarab beetle is here in the middle, you can see that? And here are the two figures or the two scenes of Osiris on the right and on the left. In front of the god Osiris, the main god of the afterlife, Isis is behind. So the judgment scene, scarab beetle, one of the forms of Ra. Baboons were referring to the hours of the night. So if you see 9 baboons, it means they are talking about the 9th hour of the night. And here you see the gentleman again standing in front of Osiris, and the assistants of Osiris are getting the funerary stuff inside his tomb, down here and on the other side as well. The colors are amazing. The blue color, are getting the funerary stuff inside the tomb.
The tree of life.
Yes, they're getting the stuff inside the tomb and leaving that.
Oh, it's got some nice color to it.
Was enough
That's the building we were just in. Now we're looking around the other buildings here.
Right behind the tomb of Osiris, as you see, there are many of these tombs. Tombs of the noblemen of that time, the officials of that time. They were again based in Ashmonean, being buried here. We're talking about, so for 500 years, the place here served as a cemetery. Some of the tombs were built out of mud brick, as you see there. And they survived. Some of the stone buildings.
I'm sure she looked better like
It's a real mummy. The mummy of Isadora.
Remains of the Roman church. The remains of a Roman church, and next to the church was a water wheel, which is under restoration nowadays.
We've got this tower here, and there are many more buildings, which I think we're not going to have time to go into. This one has a sign, the arrow pointing to the rest house. We've now driven about 30 miles to this location. It's called the Royal Tomb.
This is the royal tomb which was being prepared for the king Akhenaten and his family. We will see some other tombs in Amarna where they are completely got in a different style, in a completely different.
Well, this is our next stop, and looks like about 1,000 steps to get up to there.
Temples of Aton and his new daughter. So one of the downsides of the change of religion here in Amarna, that the Egyptian empire was about to lose some parts of it. So there were some parts that belonged to the Egyptian empire, like Syria, like Nubia and the south, like the sea people. Those are parts of the Egyptian empire, and there used to be correspondence between the Egyptian pharaoh and the rulers of those parts of the Egyptian empire.
Well, this is about all that's in this tomb, this statue. No body, it's just a statue. That was Alms 3, and now we're going over to another one, way around here. And this is the tomb of Penthu, or something like that.
This part which we'll be talking about, the god Aten. Look at that. Yes, we are looking at the God Aten, the Razor, and here are the royal family. Yes. You see the king Akhenaten, and Nefertiti with a very famous crown there.
Well, again, it's just big empty rooms, and this is a big shaft where I think they lowered or raised bodies. That's about it. Tombs with no bodies in them. So this is the next tomb, and the guy told me that all of the bodies that were in these tombs were stolen by grave robbers, tomb robbers. That's why it's just empty rooms. Let's see if there's anything in here.
The cartouches have been hanged away, and look at the scenes, everything, and you know why. 31, and some other kings came after that. He was just trying to get that out of the other side as well. The sun, God Aten is blessing them, so the cartouches of Aten himself. Then this is one section of the tomb. The second would be the daily life for the royal family, and the other part of the king.
Oh, at least they've got some pillars in here.
Then, right behind me here is a very famous scene of Amarna. This is the chariot race. Yes, that used to be a daily life activity every day in Amarna. You see two of them, Nefertiti and Akhenaten, were racing on the chariots. Yes. Here is who is in front. Nefertiti. Yes, she was more of a horsewoman than he was, so she used to win all the races in spare chariots if something bad happens. And in front here, the troops, the soldiers of the army are like protecting or securing the chariot race. Through the window here, and everybody was talking to him. Look at that.
You've had some color to it.
Are you with me?
A little bit of red.
Then, on the other side here, we having another photo of the royal family. The family members, Akhenaten, Nefertiti, two of the daughters. You can see the daughters. And here is one of the offering tables with everything, wood and the earth and the razor. So that's one of the evidences that they knew about solar eclipses. Down here you see the god Aten, the rise of the god Aten. The royal family members are here. This is the temple. This is the temple of the god Aten. This is the smaller, the great temple of Aten. This is the map of the city. We got the map of the city from where? From here. You see the different counties and districts. When they are columns, these are the temples. When they are little houses, those are of the noblemen. And everything was written in hieroglyphic. Here is the garden of the city. Look at the beautiful trees. Aren't they amazing? This is like a map for the nobleman district and the city of Amarna here.
Where is the money coming from?
Taxes. They're trading. They're waiting.
If he wasn't willing to finish this one, did he have to start another one?
No, that's it.
Well, folks, this is a 7-hour bus tour all around the Amarna area to all those sites. And the last stop is at the Amarna Visitor Center. And the only thing here that is real significant to video is this statue of Amarna, something like that. I think I'm mispronouncing it, but it is an interesting statue, but it's a recreation, and I think it's like some kind of plastic. But it's got a good, clear view of the face. There is a broken left arm, but they left the rest of it in almost pristine condition. I don't know why. It'll be interesting. Big lips, big nose. Well, I know this has been a confusing video. Some things were confusing me as I went along, but hope you enjoyed it. Good day.